Today we are going to be doing a documentary on Mark. He is the owner and founder of Fiberglass Freaks. He creates Batmobiles, and yeah, let's go ahead and go to the interview. Hi Mark, thanks for sitting down with me today. I just got a couple questions for you about Fiberglass Freaks and how you do the process over here.
Absolutely, happy to help out.
Thank you. So first question I got for you is, how did you start Fiberglass Freaks?
When I was 17 years old, I decided that I was going to go ahead and build my first Batmobile. So with no automotive experience at all, no automotive tools, I just had a 6-inch sanding block, I had a jigsaw, a circular saw, and that was basically it. But I had willpower, and that willpower drove me to cut apart a 1974 Monte Carlo and turn it into my first Batmobile back in 1983 at 17 years old.
That's awesome. What inspired you to make the Batmobile, like the 66 version?
I've been a fan of Batman, the 1966 Batman TV show, since I was 2 years old. My parents vividly remember and recall that I was a huge fan from day one. And ever since then, I've always wanted to be Batman. So one of the necessary components of being Batman, of course, is a Batman costume, but just as importantly is having the Batmobile. So I made 3 Batman fan films, 2 of them in high school and 1 in college. And the 2 in high school, we went up to Chicago to the Antique Auto Museum, and I shot in one of the original 4 Batmobiles. That was the dragster Batmobile that George Barris built. And it just wasn't quite good enough. The car, of course, was in a museum, so that really limited what we could do. So it was, the next step was building our own car, and that's what we did for our 3rd Batman fan film. So necessity is the mother of invention. Boom, there we go.
Awesome. I already asked this one. Do you plan on making any other Batmobiles besides the 66?
And as it turns out, DC Comics has licensed us, and we're the only ones licensed in the world, and the only vehicle that they've licensed is the 66 Batmobile. So we have asked multiple times about being licensed for the 66 Batcycle, also for the Batboat, and potentially for other vehicles, and they have said no. So I don't know what their plans are there.
Yeah, that was on my next question. How did you get licensed by DC Comics? That's pretty awesome.
Thank you. It's huge. DC Comics sent a spy to my shop right here in Logansport, pretending to be a customer. He liked what he saw. He saw the quality level of what we were building. This is in their words. The quality level of what we were doing, saw the passion, saw the accuracy level, and that we were taking things really to the next level. Nobody else had ever done that. Even George Barris on his 3 replicas didn't take it anywhere close to what the #1 had. So he recommended that we'd be licensed. And 3 years later, we were.
One of my final questions here is, how long does it take to make a Batmobile when you start from beginning to finish?
It takes way too long to build a car.
Oh, yeah.
They're completely, totally hand-built. So when you start off from order date to completion date, it's about 18 to 24 months, depending on how many cars we have in the queue at the time. Like right now, we already have 4 cars in the queue that are our cars.
Yeah.
We're also doing the restoration of Jeff Dunham's 1955 Lincoln Futura. Jeff Dunham's the ventriloquist that does Ahmed the Dead Terrorist.
That's awesome.
So we're working for him, which has been terrific. He's a great guy, by the way. And then we also have 3 project cars in addition to that, people that were building their own Batmobiles at home that got in way over their heads because it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we're working on those for them and helping them out.
Yeah,
It's
that's
a
awesome.
huge amount of work. Kit car is really kind of a misnomer when you talk about Batmobiles, because a kit car is where you take off a fender, you take off a handful of bolts, and you bolt on a new piece of car, right, to those exact same spots. That's not the way that it works for a Batmobile.
Right.
You're building an entire car from the ground up, and that's what we do every single car. So our first 23 cars were based on 1970s Lincoln Town cars. 72 through 79 had the right wheelbase, but it was getting harder and harder to find the parts to rebuild those Lincolns, so now we're using a custom-built chassis. So literally, every single part of the car now is all us. Now, up here on the shelf is a little Corgi, however you pronounce it exactly, Batboat model. I've got a little bit of a story behind that one as well. When I was a young kid, I was probably about 8 years old, I dug a hole in my backyard and put a garbage bag in it, put water in it, and put the Batboat. I got called inside by my mom. And when I came back outside, my dad had come home from work. He didn't want the hole, so it was filled in with dirt. And I kept asking him, Dad, what about my bat boat? I didn't see a bat boat. So I thought maybe my brother had taken it and he was trying to prank me or something. And he kept saying, no, 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 he had nothing to do with it. Well, 20 years later, my dad is selling the property. So I'm walking out there and I said, Dad, it was about right here where the bat boat was that I lost and I never was able to retrieve it. He said, really? I said, where? And I said, right here. And I looked down and what do I see poking up out of the ground? A little bit of the orange fin, very tip of that fin sticking up out of the ground. I went, no way. So I dug it out and sure enough it was my bat boat. It's this right here, what you're seeing. And it is still in relatively good shape. The plastic apparently had protected it. All of those years, 20 years later. The Shakespeare Bug,
Yeah.
William Shakespeare. This was a very special prop on the show because underneath of Bill Shakespeare's head was the switch that led to the sliding bookcase. And we can get B-roll of that for you. But yeah, the switch would be thrown and that would allow the bookcase to slide aside and revealing the bat poles that led down to the bat cave. And as Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson would slide down the poles, their costumes automatically changed. So by the time you came back from the commercial break, they were Batman and Robin.
Yeah, sounds awesome. Thanks, Mark, for showing me around the place.
Absolutely, Gordy. It was a good time.
Yeah, that was awesome seeing all those Batmobiles and stuff like that. It's amazing what you guys do here. It's astonishing, really. I hope I get to be able to buy one of those Batmobiles.
Well, thanks so much for coming by. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.